Hi everyone, welcome to another upskill session from the Professional Beauty Group. My name's Kieran. I work as a content writer for Hairdresser's Journal, and I'm joined today by a regular for the series who has already given us a lot of digital expertise over the past few weeks. I'm joined by Kate Woods, digital hair and beauty marketing specialist and owner of both Salon Dipty and Core Digital. How are you, Kate?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. I'm good, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm really excited because we switched it up a bit today, so I think it'll be quite nice to do something differently because I'm sure people are a little bit bored of the sound of my voice.
I wouldn't say that. Like I said, we've already run a few sessions with Kate already, which went into, I believe, creating an online store and mastering social media advertising.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, which you can catch up with anytime by checking our Instagram or YouTube pages. They're definitely worth a watch. But today we are covering how to set up an effective website for your salon, why this is important, the best resources for doing so, and a lot more. And during this, we'll also have time to answer some questions about your own salon's websites. So if you're having any specific issues with your site at the moment and want some help, comment below and we will look to get to your questions a bit later.
Yeah,
So
seriously, if you just pop your URL in the chat bar, then we'll live critique it. I'm gonna be honest with you. So if you want me to give you praise, don't put yours in. But if you'd like some honest and actionable feedback, go for it.
yeah, cool. So I'm sure people will know who you are by now if they've been tuning into the upskill sessions. But do you want to quickly explain a little about yourself first?
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's quite relevant today with us doing websites because I've been working on websites since 2001, which seems like a very, very long time ago. In 2007, I went to HJ, where I ran their website for 5-6 years. And since 2012, I've been running Core Digital, which is a digital marketing business that does done-for-you marketing for hair and beauty businesses. And then last year I started Salon Dipty, which is all about giving salons the tools that they need to help themselves. And at the end, I'll give you the resources that we've looked at during these seminars that hopefully will be useful for you. And something I'd just like to say is I've set this up to help people and create the resources they need. So if there are resources that you need, drop me an email and I will create those resources, because if you need them, the chances are that other salon owners do too. So I'd rather make sure I've got a bank of things in my head that I want to create, but I'd much rather create the things that people are going, I want this now. So that's Core Digital and that's Salon Dipty.
Amazing. So my first question, with all the social media platforms out there at the moment, so many different ways for people to find your business online. Why do you think it's still so important to have that website, a really strong website for the salon?
Yeah, do you know what? About 3, maybe 4 years ago, I had a real wobble on this because websites is my passion and it's what I do. And I went through this. Oh my God, do people even need a website anymore? Because social media has become all encompassing. So I really started to question this. But I've come out the other side, and there are some real key reasons why you absolutely need a website. So the first one of those, kind of about 2 years ago, actually 2 Januaries ago, it might be 3 Januaries ago, Facebook suddenly changed the rules. And they went from thinking that pages mattered and you spent lots of time and energy building up your pages, and they suddenly stopped showing your content to many people on your page. And they decided that all they cared about was groups. And Instagram has also changed the algorithm. And the thing is, when you put all of your energy into a platform that you don't own, they can change the rules at any time. And there's been quite a lot of talk really around Facebook of, will they start to charge for pages? Will they start to charge for groups? And those things haven't happened yet, but there's no reason to think that they might not at some stage. So the difference between that is and your website is when you have your website, you have ownership of it, and you can control you can control the content and who sees the content, i.e. all your content, and when it's shown to them, whereabouts it appears much better. And then the other thing was, I did a survey for Core Digital, and as part of that, I asked people, what's the first place you look to when you're thinking of going to a new salon? And the result was something like 60% of people said their website, and it was less than 20 for Instagram and less than 10 for Facebook. So actually it is still the first place that people go to, and it's also the easiest place for you to display everything that you need people to tell them and make it easy for them to find your salon, what you're about, and your message.
I think the beginning stages of starting up a website could be quite daunting because things, terms like SEO being thrown around, which I think to this day people are still completely confused by. Where would you start with that? And, what are some of the big mistakes that salons often make with SEO?
Okay. Do you know what? So I'm going to break that out into two different bits, really. So the first thing is starting your website. I think we're going to talk about a bit later on about can you do it yourself. But if you are starting your website, then don't get too caught up in SEO. Get caught up in what are my clients going to want to see, what do I want to tell them, and how I'm going to share that message. So do not get too hung up on SEO. That said, if you have an existing website that's already operating, or you've got someone that's managing your website for you, then you definitely want your website to appear as high up on the search rankings pages as possible. And ideally, you want it to appear at the top. And certainly on the first page. I'm just very quickly going to talk you through, I'm going to share my screen quickly. And we haven't practiced this, so it could go horribly wrong. But just to show you a search results page and talk you through some things that you need to think about if you're doing SEO, if you want to make your website appear high. Oh no.
This is where it
I haven't got
goes.
screens. No. Is that something we're able to sort out?
Yeah, if we can get Tina to allow the screen sharing if it's possible. But
I'll carry on talking while we're doing that. But the first thing, and I've just touched on it, is think for people rather than thinking for machines. And there's lots and lots and lots of factors to SEO. I'm going to divide them into two. There's some of them that are technical. And do you know what? You need a techie person to manage those. And the thing that you can do is just know that your website operates as quickly as possible. That's the thing to ask your techie person, the key one on the techie side. On the written side and the content side, there's quite a lot we can do, and let's have a quick look. I'm just going to share my screen now.
Should be working now.
Okay, so I'm going to show you a search results page. Now, your search results page is, I mean, you use them all the time, probably 10, 15, 20 times a day, is the results that you see when you search to enter a term into Google. So what you do is you enter your term here, and Google runs this algorithm and it goes, ooh, okay, the best results for this are the following. So the way that it does that, as I said, there's some techie stuff, but then it's also going to make a decision based on things like your metadata, which I'm going to show you on this screen, on the content on your page, the amount of content on your page, the authority of your page. So if it can be trusted, if there's inbound links to it. So inbound links are when other people click link to your site, which is why it's quite a good idea to team up with other local businesses. Funnily enough, they like authority, but then they also like new pages, which is why it's quite good to have a blog. And then Google sees a really good page as a page that's got about a minimum of 300 words content. I'm mentioning that because I think it's important to know that, and that's why we'll talk a little bit about pages like a colour page or something like that. But don't get too hung up on those, that all my pages have got to have 300 words, because generally speaking, a salon website homepage is not going to have 300 words, and that's not going to stop you from ranking. Okay, so coming back to the search results page. So I've typed in my hair salon in Twickenham, and on the left here, I've got the map. So the map is salons that have their Google My Business page registered. Thing to know is and the way that they're ranked, some of that is about reviews. Some of it is about pictures and how much information you've got on that page. Some of it is about geography and where they see it in terms of the centre of the town. So that's one that you can't necessarily do an awful lot about. But the thing that you can do is make sure that you've claimed your Google My Business page, because without that, you're not going to get on the map. And then you're also going to get the results. So over here, So the results that you're seeing here are categorized by, at the top here, you'll see the URL. So that's the website name. And what you can do to make that as logical and as likely to appear as possible is to have your salon name, ideally without dashes or hyphens, but in 2021 that becomes much harder if you've got a new, if you're looking to buy a new website. And then to keep anything that any page names after that quite simple, so that they have kind of, I like to think of it as Ron Seal page name. So if your page is about hair colour, then call your page hair colour. If your page is about hair smoothing treatments, hair smoothing treatments. If your page is about facials, it's facial. Just don't be clever. Then this next bit here is your page title, and this is actually the most important thing on your page. But you won't actually, I'll show you a website to show you where it appears in a second, but you might not even think about it or do it. So this is called your page title, and you've got 55 to 65 characters to tell Google, not your clients, to tell Google what this page is about. And I tend to like them better if they're hair salon in or best salon in. They tend to be more effective. Funnily enough, for Rush here, that's not the case. It's just Twickenham Rush hair salon, and that's another way of doing it. It's actually more currently, it's much more usual to use sentences, because most people's searches now are by sentences rather than in the past they're just to put in keywords. So like now I've typed that hair salon in Twickenham. Actually, what someone's more likely to type is the best hair salon for whatever in Twickenham. So that's been a real shift. So the next bit here is the page description. Now the page description, again, isn't going to appear anywhere on the page, and actually it's not even going to impact on how high you appear, but it will depend on whether people choose to click on your site or one of the others. And this is, again, it's called metadata, and it's put into your website, and it needs to be upwards of 155 characters. 155 to 165 is the best, really. Just to know, even though you put that in, Google might go, yeah, we don't want to use that, and might choose to use something different on your site. It's just going to increase your probability of being of your website being clicked on from this results page. Just quickly, I'm going to go onto a website to show you where the page title is, and to show you the elements of a page that matter for search engines. Stop share. Right. Sorry, right. Okay, so here's an example. So at the top here, do you remember I said about this is actually the most important bit on the page, and you might not even be able to see it. Can you see where I'm sharing at the moment, that little tab at the top that I'm pointing to?
Yeah.
So that tab there is your page title, and that to Google is the most important thing on your whole page. And what I see quite often is salons that just have their salon name and then services, or their salon name and then about.
Yeah.
So invest some time in actually writing logical ones of those. So then the next thing to know about is your header on the page. And this is important too. You want to enter something here that people are likely to search for. And then you're going to come down to your content. And the key principles of writing good content for websites is to do tabloid writing, style writing. So things like bullet points, little subheaders to divide what you're talking, to make it really clear and easy for people to see. And I like to use bolding if something is important. That's a really great technique for telling Google and telling your clients that this is important. And one last thing while we're talking SEO, because I could go on and on about it, is a really important thing is to give your images sensible names, and also so save them as sensible names and upload them with those sensible names. But if you also you'll see a box that says alt tag, and give them a sensible name there as well. It's actually, one, it's important for search engines because they're going to be looking at all the content on the page, and as clever as they've become, they can't actually read images at the moment, so
Yeah.
it knows what it is. But it's also actually a legal requirement because of accessibility, so for people with visual impairments. And the same principle goes for your videos, so make sure you give those intuitive names. I'm going to come out of here now and we can go back to chatting.
Cool. SEO is one of those ones where I think if you're just getting into it, it can seem quite daunting, but really it is just about keeping it as simple as possible and breaking it down, you know, making it as accessible for people, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And something that's interesting to know is one of the important things with SEO is like inbound links and your credibility. So actually, if you do good social media and you send people back to your website, sometimes that's a mistake people make, that they don't bother sending people back to their website. But then you've got good inbound links.
Yeah.
So making sure that you do that every now and then is really important.
Yeah. Cool. I think another thing that can confuse people is there's often a lot of resources in terms of, you know, setting up a business. One being Google My Business. So have you got any thoughts on that and how salons could use it?
Yeah, Google. Do you know what? If you do one thing when you come off this call today, please Google your business, as in like literally Google your salon, and just check what your Google My Business looks like. So Google My Business is the listing. Let's get one up. Bear with me a second. Let me get one up for you.
Cool. We've had some people sending in their sites as well, so we can look at them later.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, which one is it? This one. Okay, so your Google My Business listing appears here at the right. So if someone enters your salon name, then this is where it will appear. And what it contains depends on what you've set in it. So the information you can put in it is your name, address, your postcode, which is really important. And something that I always tell people is make sure that you use those consistently everywhere you write about your website, because I think it's really easy to about your website, everywhere you write about your business, because I think it's really easy to have little quirks that you do slightly differently, and then the internet gets a bit confused of, is this the same place or are these different places? So make sure you're always consistent in the way that you do those things. You can also put on their images, and I would definitely do so. You can put your booking information, and this is also where people will give you your Google reviews. I cannot stress enough how important it is to get Google reviews, because they're going to impact on where you appear on the map, and they're also going to impact on people's making a decision to buy or come to your salon. That's really, really important. The way that you get your Google My Business page is you go into Google Maps and you claim your listing. If you don't own it, if you go into it and it's there and you don't have it, then there's the Own This Business. So you can claim it that way. But if you need to claim it itself, just go into Google Maps and you can enter it there. And staying on that, Google My Business is the most important listing page, but there are others that matter as well. For example, Yell or Yelp. It's worth checking because you will probably automatically have listings on all of those. So it's worth checking on what they look like and making sure that you make those the best that they can be too, and that they have links into your website, because that's going to create inbound links and that's going to make Google more aware of your salon.
Cool. That kind of ties into a question we've just had from Nina Perry. It says, hi, I've had my website with Yale for years and not sure if I could be getting a better website and control with it with someone else. I feel like I'm paying a lot of money, but a bit scared to change.
Is there a way we can, like Q&A, Nina?
As in, I'm not sure. This is just
Nina, if you're there at the moment, do you know what, actually, Nina, just drop me an email afterwards and we'll chat. It's probably better. It's Kate at Core Digital and we'll chat. And I promise that we'll chat, but it won't be a hard sell.
All right, cool. What are the main pages that every salon website should have, do you think?
Okay, it depends a little bit on your salon and what's important to you. every single salon needs a homepage. And what I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend is individual pages for your high value services. So the reason that I say this is because, do you remember earlier on when we looked at hair salon in Twickenham and I said that we used to type keywords, but actually now much more we type questions or sentences or whatever. And by having pages that are built specifically for those high value terms, as soon as someone writes khaki in, sorry, I always get that wrong, Casey in whatever, or as soon as somebody writes hair extensions in whatever, you're going to, by having an individual page that is built for that service, you're going to increase your probability of appearing at the top. So definitely high value service pages. I always like a team page, and one of my pet hates is crap pictures on a team page. I really hate it when I see people on a night out on the team page. It's a professional site, so show off the best of yourselves, yeah.
What sort of images would you include then? What would you think serves best on a website?
Can I come back to that? Can I carry on with the pages and then come back to that?
Course,
But you hold that thought because I think it's really important. So other pages that I think is really important. Pricing is a big one that I've got some clients that include their pricing. I've got some clients that don't. There's no right or wrong. The one thing I would say is you always need to have a price indicator, because there is nothing worse than, oh, I don't want it to be too expensive for me. So make sure you have a price indicator. I tend to, there's actually some standard phrasing that I use about their prices start from, based on whatever, but that doesn't need to be the way that you do it. But I definitely it's definitely something to consider. Other pages, I always like to have a contact page, and I also I think it's always nice to have some of your work, whether that's that you have a gallery page or whether that's that you have an Instagram feed, although Instagram is becoming increasingly challenging to integrate with websites and needs updating regularly if you want an Instagram feed, about every 90 days, so do be aware of that if you want to have that. And those are the key pages really that I think every site needs to have. So moving on to your photos page question, absolutely use professional photos if you possibly can. Funnily enough, I actually wrote a blog post about this on my Salon Deputy site last week, but the good news is that stock photos have really improved. So actually you can now use stock photos if you want to. And I think if you need to, then do that. But the key thing I would say is people want to get a feel for you and your vibe. So make sure that your photos include salon photos so that they know what your salon looks like, what they're going to experience. And I do like client work photos. Do you know what, last week on this webinar, some people asked me about some questions about images with Facebook ads. And I said, you know what, it's not my area of expertise how to take a great photo. But I would say to you that if you do one thing during this lockdown, go away and watch YouTube videos or sign up for a course that's going to cost you £9 or something like that to learn how to take good photos, good client photos yourself, because they are going to make such a difference to you at every stage of your marketing. So there's client photo. What you could also do is user generated content client photo. So if you publicize your hashtag, or maybe if you run a monthly hashtag competition, selfie competition based on a hashtag, then you're going to have clients that supply pictures that are good pictures. So that's a great way of doing it. And something that I talk about quite a lot, I actually do one of these with someone, not for their website, for some other stuff, is a skills exchange. And I think that is something that hairdressers can really, really, really utilise. So if you've got clients if you've got a photographer as a client, then why the hell wouldn't you offer them this bundle of hair services in exchange for professional photos of your salon? I think it's such a mistake, it's such an opportunity, especially in a society at the moment where not many of us are cash rich. So I think that's going to be a really clever bartering tools, I think I would really, really, really use that. Have a look through your client list and go, oh, okay, actually, yeah, that person is a marketing specialist, because you know your clients well and what they do, and you'll also know the ones that are going to be open to, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, we can work together that way, and the ones that are going to tell you that they're worth £1,000 an hour and therefore no, that won't be possible. So yeah, so that's a really good way to get photos too.
Cool. Just reaching out to that inner circle, seeing, making the most of what you actually have around you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. I think you touched on it a little bit, but do you think you can build your own salon website, or should you pay someone else to do it for you?
Okay. That's actually another thing that I've written a blog post about recently. So that's there. If people want to have a read through it, bullet by point, then that's there. But if you have the budget to build a salon website, a professional salon website, then in most cases I would tell you to do it, because they're going to be doing things like the Google stuff to make sure that you appear top, like the site speed, like making sure that it works on your mobile as well as it does on your desktop, and those sorts of things. And there's just a level of professionalism that you can usually see in a website that's been built for you that you don't always see. It's in one that people have built themselves, and I guess in some ways it's probably like home hair color versus salon hair color. People train for a reason, right? However, can you build one yourself? Yes, you absolutely can. There's lots of platforms that you can do it on. I'm really sorry, I'm going to upset someone that's put a message through a little bit earlier. You can do Wix, you can use Weebly, you can use Squarespace, you can use WordPress. My personal preference is WordPress. My last choice would be Wix, because it just doesn't get on with search engines so well. So as I say, I'm really sorry to the person that just popped up and asked me a question about that. But yes, there are platforms. There's lots of tutorials you can use. And I am actually working through this last couple of weeks. I've been working through a pilot with someone, teaching them how to build their own salon website. So that's a bit of a watch this space. It will be reasonably priced if it happens. And I don't know if it will happen, but it's worth mentioning.
Cool. Well, that was all my questions. I think maybe we should we'll quickly answer some of the ones that have been sent in, and then maybe we can have a I don't know if you've got the chat up where you can pick a website to a couple maybe to have a look at. But first,
let's have a look.
Yeah, we got a question from Kay, who says, what if you're freelance and your work is in 2 separate locations? Do you do 2 separate listings?
Oh, for Google My Business, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, that was a quick one. How important is a logo?
Look, a logo is at the heart of your brand, but that doesn't necessarily. Having a clear brand identity, is that flicking and flicking and flicking?
No, that's okay.
Having a clear brand identity is the most important thing, and that's part of that is the logo, but it's also your color scheme, it's also the language that you use, it's also the people that you're talking to, the services that you offer. So having that whole thing rounded, that's really important. Having a logo, yeah, you need a logo, or you need to have a font that you always write your website in, or always write your salon name in. Should you invest hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds in it? Only if you can afford to, and for most businesses, no, that's not the case. There are ways you can do it yourself. I've experimented with doing one in Canva. To be honest, I've always resorted to go in professional, because I've just found that they're much better at capturing what you wanted without you realizing what you wanted.
Yeah. Cool. Again, I think this was touched on a little bit. This is a question from Joe, who says, when you're writing content, should you keep it short, or should you write long descriptions about each facial?
Okay, so search engines, as I said, they think a good page is a page that's got about 300 words of content. When it comes to facials, I think is a mistake lots of beauty salons make is they get caught up in going, it's got this ingredient and this ingredient and this ingredient, and it does this, this, and this. Focus on the end results and the key information, as in how long is it going to take, how many do they need, those sorts of things. And you can either bullet that or write it as a short paragraph. But I wouldn't ever have like long chunks on each single option you have. But if you're someone who really wants to tell people all that information, or likes to in the salon be able to point people somewhere, then run a blog and say, right, this is so and so's favourite facial because, and then you've got an opportunity to write your 300 words that's all about that type of service. So that's the way to do that. Do you know what, earlier on when we were talking about the pages, and we didn't speak about blogs, did we? And can I just say that if you are going to regularly update your blog and you're going to have news information, and you're going to have content about what you're up to, then absolutely have a blog. If you are going to have a blog and not update it for months and months on end, my absolute pet hate is we've got a new site, being the last post that you ever did, then do not have a blog. You are better to have one that's updated frequently than one that's neglected.
Perfect. We got another quick question. I think it's more of a, it might be you sending an email after, but it just says, how do you add yourself onto Google Business? I just search myself and I don't come up at the top. So is that just more of a technical?
Oh, sorry, Frank Lampard's going to get sacked.
That is big news.
Right, carry on. What was the question? Sorry. Note to self, switch off your phone.
It was just, how do you add yourself onto Google Business? Is that more of a technical one?
So go and, first of all, go on and check if you exist, and if not, click pay my listing. If your business isn't there at all, go into Maps, which is maps.google, and then you should see a claim your listing button there, or drop me an email.
Just being conscious of time, do we want to have a quick look at a
let's have a look. I've got one here. I'm just gonna, I'm not sharing it, am I? Share screen. Okay, so we've got here, especially for you, Beauty. I'm gonna get techie with you quickly. Yeah, okay, so the first thing that I'm seeing is that you haven't got a page title, so at the top. So what I want to know is, I want you to add something that says where you are, what your specialism is, something like that. It's about 55 to 65 words in that. Let's have a look. You've got a nice description, so that's great, well done. So content, consultation form, that's a really nice idea to have on the homepage. That's really nice. I'd like to see your services spelt out in your navigation a bit more clearly. I'm going to have to look around for those, and that bothers me a little bit. You've got key elements that you'd need. Quite a lot of text, that's good. You've got your social links, that's nice. And I like that you've got images of your work, that's really important. Let's just quickly, as I say, the key things on this site is I want to know more about what you do, and I'd like to know more about your team. And I can't find, because those are the things that are going to separate you from other salons, and I can't find either of those. And I'd also look at your page titles and make sure you've got unique page titles on each and every page. Right, let's find another one.
We have a quick question as well. It says from Annette, it says, I use my name as a home salon and get confused about a domain name. Do you choose your name followed by a main treatment skill, or is that
you've just frozen.
Oh, did you not hear that?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, cool.
We back?
Yeah.
Did you hear that question or?
No, I heard she used her name.
Yeah, use the name as a home salon and get confused about a domain name. Do you choose your name followed by a main treatment skill, or is that too long?
No, look, it's really difficult to buy a new name anyway. That's unusual and unique and relevant to you. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Your name plus beauty, or your name plus hair, or definitely, definitely, that's okay.
Cool.
Right, I've got another one up to share, which I'm just. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this salon page here. About us, there's a menu and aftercare. That's nice. That looks to me like it's an image. No, it's not. That's something that salons, a mistake that salons make quite often, is that they'll upload an image that's got the words on it rather than the words, and then you've got the situation where Google can't see it. So always go with text instead. You've got a nice header that gives you a feel for who you are. I like that you've got your book now buttons very clear. Just on that, I think it's a real mistake for anyone not to have online booking in 2021. I remember when I first started out on my own back in like 2012, 2013, and I used to speak to salon owners who'd go, oh yeah, but I'm worried that other people will book up my appointments, as in like their competitors. And I remember at that stage thinking, oh my God, do you think people have got time to do that? But more so than ever now, I think people expect everything on demand. And I remember one of my salons saying, surprisingly, like their most time that they get the most bookings is at like 2 o'clock on a Friday night, obviously not in the current climate, but about 2 o'clock on a Friday night. So that's really, really, really an essential these days, yeah. I think. What's worrying me about this site a little bit is this login. My instincts are probably it's possibly a Wix site, and that's how you'd log into the site, and that bothers me because do I need to log in? And if it's for me to log in so that I can access my records or something like that, then make it a little bit clearer for me to do so. You've got your social buttons at the top, which is nice. And that's a subjective thing, really. I quite like mine at the bottom because I always think once I've got you, I don't want to lose you. So I tend to prefer mine in the footer, but that's quite subjective. There's not a right or wrong. Again, I'd like to see some individual services pages. So I'd like to have your facials page. I'd like to have your massages page. Or another way to do that, which I've done with some clients, which is really nice, is to have an anti-aging page. Or so it's just a different way of categorizing your content. But that's something that I feel is a little bit missing. But overall, it's quite nice. Right, I'm going to have a look and see if we've got one hair salon that we can look at, because I'm conscious of the fact that I've talked and talked and talked.
Well, we could do hours and hours of this, I reckon.
Let's see if we can find a hair one. Heavenly Hairstyling, there we go. Thank you, Sophie. You've got top of my... Oh. Sorry, stop that. Share screen. Oh, look, top marks. Well done. Love that, having your waiting list there. Something that I worked with quite a lot at the end of the first lockdown was making sure that everyone had like just a little bar across the top with their COVID information. So the COVID information wasn't there, but it was very clear and very easy to have. So it gave you a page to send people to. So when their welcome email or the text message that you sent out ahead of their appointment, you could do that really easy. So that's really important. And actually, that's great that you've got your waiting list and your gift vouchers there. I'm guessing there's probably a little cross that I can get rid of it here, but unfortunately Zoom is stopping me from being able to do that. so I can't see as much as I'd like to. I like that you've got your picture. I can't see if you've got header, an important header behind there. I'd hope so, because your top image is very big. It takes me below the fold, and sometimes it's quite important to be able to see a little bit more. Right. Oh, do you know what? I'm not sure I'm going to. Let's see if I can just move this. Bear with me a second.
Yeah, there should be a little X in the top right corner of the
Yeah, it's hidden behind the Zoom stuff, but there we go.
Hey.
Right. Okay, great. You've got a nice header. It's very clear. Opening hours here, nice. That's a nice thing to have. I like to have mine in my footer because we always make the assumption, that's not to say it shouldn't be on the homepage, but we always make the assumption that people are first going to arrive at your website, at your homepage, yeah? And if they're typing in your URL, they are going to arrive at your homepage. But if they come to you by Google, and then we've been talking about it all along, haven't we? The importance of pages like your hair extensions in my town page. So if they arrive there, then if you only have your opening hours on the homepage, they might not be able to find them. So that's why it's important to have them in the footer as well. Let's have a quick look. I'm going to scroll this, move this down again. Sophie, isn't it? You need to have a look at your metadata because at the moment it's not telling Google where you are or what your specialism's in or anything like that. Just gonna have a quick look and see if you've got a page descriptions on there. Oh, yours is a Squarespace site. You should have a description in there. Yeah, great. You've got a nice description in there. Your description looks a bit short. A good description is about 155 to 165 characters, and yours looks a bit smaller than that. And a clever thing to always do in your description, which is the bit that appears on Google, is to try to have like a call to action. So give people a reason why they want to find out about what you do. So that might be something that you'd want to look at. I'm going to look at your team pages because I've said before, I really like a team page. I think it's really important. And I love yours. You've got nice pictures of them, really nice pictures of them. A little bit of content, but not loads. Something that I'm a little bit obsessed with on team pages is highlighting people's individual skills, so that they're the person to go for curls or whatever, because this is your first chance to like really start to build the relationship with a client and or a new client and a team member. So this is just going to help them to choose the right one for them in a way that stops them from making that decision purely based on price. And that's important. So I think that's definitely something that I would look at on your team page. But yeah, it's really nice. I like it. And one thing I would say is I love these two images that look super professional. The rest of the team, if you have an opportunity to do so at some point, then I would look to get a team photo shoot in. And team photo shoots, they don't have to be really, really expensive. They can start at about 100 quid actually, if you've got a local photographer that does that. So have a look. Right, I'm going to come back.
Yeah, I was time for one more quick one.
Do you know what I was thinking? I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. What I was thinking is I've quite enjoyed this. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if, and then it looks like there's loads and loads of websites. So I wonder if, I'm taking the mickey here and they might say no way, but I wonder if we could maybe have a look at slotting in a session at some point. It's purely 1 hour or half an hour of send yours and we'll.
Yeah, no, I agree. I reckon we could do a lot longer with this. So
because there are loads of them here. So
cool, amazing. Yeah, so I guess we'll call it a day for now.
Are there any other questions that we haven't covered off?
That was mostly all of them, to be honest. Yeah, mostly. Again, we've just been flooded with people sending in their website, so it would be, yeah, a big apologies.
I'm just going to finish up with. Can I just finish up with this? So over the last 3 weeks, we've covered off 3 subjects. We covered off building a store, we've covered off Facebook ads, and we've covered off salon websites. I've got handouts on each of them that you can access here. For those of you who were on last week and there were some issues with the Facebook ads one, which is now fully set up. So remember that if you download the Facebook ads one before Friday, or was it Sunday, I'll check, then you will go into a draw, and I'm going to run someone's Facebook ads for free, either at Easter or when you die down after your new visit off. Yeah, someone's new visit offer for free, either at Easter or when you die down after the busy time. So that's if you download this Facebook ads one. Alternatively, you can give me a follow on Kate Hair and Beauty, or if you've got a question, my email address is there. I will always answer, but I might be a little bit slower than usual at the moment because because I've got 2 little people downstairs. so I'm homeschooling as well. So that might take a little bit longer than usual. But I promise I will come back to you.
Thank you so much, Kate, not just for this, I mean, for the other 2 sessions as well. It's been really, really informative. Like I said, you can check those out anytime by looking at our Instagram page or YouTube. Thank you everyone for joining as well. Again, apologies we didn't get to all the websites. Hopefully we'll have a chance to do that another time. But yeah, thank you. Stay tuned for more upscales content throughout the week. And yeah, that's us. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.